Hi, welcome. My name is Victoria. For anybody who doesn't know me, I am delighted that you're here. Happy IBD Awareness Week. Being that it's IBD Awareness Week, I wanted to do an awareness type video and share a little bit of my journey with IBD and kind of gastrointestinal type stuff. So IBD stands for Inflammatory Bowel Disease, not to be confused with IBS, which is Irritable Bowel Syndrome. I've told so many people over the years that, oh, I have IBD, and they go, I have IBS, it's the same thing. Just switch to this diet or do this, and it's not the same thing. IBD is characterized by inflammation and is an autoimmune disorder, which means that your immune system doesn't work right. It is overactive and attacking your intestines and you instead of bacteria or viruses. IBS, on the other hand, is when the muscles aren't contracting quite properly and they're not working right. You can have both IBS and IBD, but they're not the same disease. So moving on, IBD includes Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. I have a lot of notes this way. Hopefully you learn something new about each disease. So UC, ulcerative colitis, is inflammation in the large intestine usually and the colon, and it can affect the rectum. You can be diagnosed with UC and then switch over basically your diagnosis to Crohn's if you haven't progressed enough and they can't see it. You cannot have both Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, which I thought was interesting. So once the inflammation hits a certain spot in your GI tract, your diagnosis switches to Crohn's disease. And in Crohn's disease, inflammation can happen anywhere from the mouth to the anus. I know a lot of people don't like talking about IBD because it involves a lot of gross symptoms, but it's just the nature of the disease. To me, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not something that you did. You can't cause it yourself, so it's just part of life. So some symptoms include, but are not limited to, rectal bleeding, weight loss, fevers, abdominal pain, decreased appetite, fatigue, bloody or mucousy stool, and urge to go to the bathroom. It can also affect your joints, eyes, and skin. Some complications include, but are not limited to, obstruction of the intestine, scar tissue, abscesses, vitamin deficiencies, dehydration, and you can also lose your colon or large intestine due to damage from the inflammation. And that's when people get a J-pouch usually, or an ostomy. So treatment includes lifestyle changes, diet modifications, medications such as immune suppressants, which an example specifically, I'm trying to think, the name just escaped me, I'm sorry. It's brain fog, I should have wrote down some immunosuppressants. But also steroids like prednisone, enemas like mesalamine, other anti-inflammatory medications. I was personally on valsalazine, disodium, antacids are another one, and biologics, which are newer medications, and they have usually less side effects, I want to say. So I'm just going to share a brief overview of my story. I'm hoping somebody can relate to it and that it is helpful in some way. So I've had abdominal issues from the time that I was about 6 years old. I cannot tell you how many times I was rushed to the hospital with everybody swearing I had appendicitis. The pain would be so intense. I encountered my first food allergy at 9 years old, which is dairy. I sort of outgrew part of it, like I can have some things with a tiny bit of milk, but I can't have straight up like cow's milk still. So I was always really on the thin side growing up. I would be underweight for quite a while. Ensure was part of my daily life for so long. I would bring it with me to school and have it at lunch and throughout the day just to maintain my weight, which isn't quite normal. I'd struggle to eat at times because it was so painful and stuff wouldn't always stay in. As I got older, my symptoms started progressing. So when I was a teenager, I would go to the bathroom up to 20 times a day with bloody stool and mucus, which of course leads to lots of dehydration, and in my body that translates to some kidney stones. So it does complicate stuff quite a bit. I've encountered nausea and vomiting and extreme pain, the type that drops you to your knees, makes you scream and cry like a baby. So in 2014, I was admitted to the hospital due to my liver enzymes being way too high. Mine were near 900. Yours should be in the 30s. So it does cause quite a few issues. My intestines were being starved of blood and my body was starting to shut down. During that hospital vacation, I found out that I have ulcerative colitis. The pictures they took, they were cool to look at until you realized that's in me, and that's kind of really gross. I had so many ulcers, so much inflammation. So that's when I was diagnosed. We also learned that my super healthy diet was actually making my flare worse. I was basically living on fruits and vegetables, I could say. I'd use like the NutriBullet all the time and make drinks and lots of salad, all this healthy stuff, because I knew I had lupus and I wanted to fight the inflammation naturally, if at all possible, or at least somewhat naturally. But you need to watch your fiber intake when you're in an ulcerative colitis flare-up. At that time, they did not do an upper endoscopy. I am starting to wonder with my newer GI stuff if I really have ulcerative colitis or if it's really Crohn's. So I have additional GI issues, which includes tons of inflammation. I have it up in my actual stomach, and then I have it in my small intestine, sometimes in the large and the colon. So it depends what's flaring and lots of other stuff. I also have gastroparesis, which means my stomach is paralyzed. So this just kind of complicates the whole abdomen. It's hard to tell at times, like, okay, which pain is going with which disease. I'm still learning how to navigate gastroparesis, which is a whole nother story. But it's definitely doing a number on my body because in the last 6 months, I've lost 40 pounds. I can't really say I'm sure the colitis is playing into it and that they feed off each other. I haven't regularly tolerated food in that time. Thankfully, my colitis bowel issues have settled down. So that's been helping me to kind of maintain my weight, lose a little slower, which is good. A handful of my ulcerative colitis symptoms are under control, like the bloody stool is no longer an issue for me, which definitely helps, at least the fatigue a little. Not eating and pain are my biggest struggles. I take tons of vitamins and supplements, which is the only way I've been basically fighting the not eating thing. I'm waiting for my medication to come in from Canada, and then I have to get a third GI opinion. So I've been taking just anything that I can think of that may help. I've been taking. I'm not regularly tolerating Ensure or Boost. I've tried natural ones, I've tried organic shakes, and they just aren't working at the moment. Not always tolerating them. Can have maybe half every few days. So for pain, I use heating pad, tea, and essential oil, which is this one. This is Soothe by Jade Bloom. You can actually put this right on your abdomen, which is great. It does help a little with the pain, not a ton. But I also have a pain management video, which I will link below if you're interested in more pain management tips. What I do, I deal with a ton of pain every single day. Right now, I was taking off some of my medicines, which I don't think was the smartest move, my opinion. I'm on a low dose of steroids for colitis and adrenal insufficiency. And I guess lupus, it helps with a lot, steroids. I'm one of those people that I don't actually get a lot of side effects except for moon face and stride marks, but I'm not sure if those are prednisone or EDS. And I'm also on Remicade, which is a chemo/biologic. Chemotherapy is not just for cancer. It is also for autoimmune patients, which I didn't know until I was sick. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something or you were able to relate to it. and I hope that you will consider sharing it to help us raise awareness. There is no cure for IBD, so awareness gets us closer to a cure. And if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can see future videos. I hope you're having a lovely holiday season. See you soon. Bye.